5 o'clock, we're starting. So, hi everybody. Thank you very much for coming along to Shiny, to the talk with Nadia Loscott and Charlotte Regan, all about breaking into ad agencies. It's going to be a really fantastic talk because all the people involved are so good. But just before we start doing that, I am going to just remind you what Shiny is, which is we're a platform for promoting new directors. We also do a certain amount of educational stuff like this. So we illuminate how to get into the industry and how it all works. And we also in particular try and reach out to people who are harder to reach, i.e. not middle class and people who aren't white blokes, although white blokes are very welcome as well. So we have Alex here. Alex, do you want to wave and say hello? If you say hello.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
It brings you up.
I'm Alex and I'm the non-exec director in the background today, just pressing buttons, helping Caroline.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we'll start off, as we always do, by spotlighting a new director who submitted work to Shiny. She is Samaya. When we finished talking to Samaya and showing her video, we'll move on to Nadia and Charlotte. And then after that, we'll do the breakout rooms, as again, we always do. So first of all, Samaya, hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much for coming along. It's lovely to see you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
We've met each other before, back when Shiny was doing events, and you've submitted work to Shiny before. Would you like to tell us a bit about who you are as a director, what kind of stuff you're interested in, and where you are in your directing journey?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Samaya. I'm originally from Iran. My background's actually editing, and I've worked as a video editor across London for like the last 9 years, in-house and freelance in ad agencies and production companies. Throughout the last 3-4 years, I kind of made a decision to kind of transition into directing more. So I spent a lot of my time and money funding my own projects, and kind of getting to a stage where I feel like I could submit to places like Shiny, which I did about a year and a half ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. And then, yeah, just that's it really. And then opportunities start to arise, thankfully to Shiny as well. And I got my first commission from Nike last year. And then I got my second commission from Facebook this year. And then, yeah, it's just kind of growing from there really. And then I'm transitioning from an editor to a director, but I'm still kind of editing any directing work that I do get, and I'm still freelancing as an editor as well. So, yeah.
I didn't realise you'd started as an editor actually. So has that proved useful in terms of understanding how everything works, who to talk to?
Yeah, I mean, for a long time it was really frustrating because I kind of was a bit like impatient, thinking like, why doesn't anyone want to see me as a director? Like when someone sees you as an editor, especially in like the freelance world, if you're a good editor, like people just want to keep you as an editor because they just want to hire someone to get the job done. So they wouldn't necessarily be in a position to like see you as something else or try and give you another chance, because you're just an editor to them. So for a long time I kind of was frustrated with that, and also like working in companies that I would love to work as a director, but I was there as an editor and editing all these amazing work that I was like, oh, I wish I was directing that and stuff. But actually now that I'm kind of breaking into directing, I kind of understand the value of all those years of editing and how much it's affected me as a director. I think I'm a better director because of it, because I kind of direct with editing in mind, and it kind of makes me more efficient. I think about things a lot more than maybe other directors, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's worth.
It's a common route, isn't it? Editing to directing. Just before we watch your film, the kind of work that you make is very, very stylish. You're very interested in fashion and aesthetic. You have a very style-oriented aesthetic, if that isn't a meaningless thing to say.
I guess especially with the film that you're about to see, I guess I like to lure the audience into like a beautiful sort of environment, and then kind of hit them hard with an emotion that's quite uncomfortable. And I think I See You epitomizes that sort of like the way I like to make films. It's often something that's very raw and emotive, and I kind of like to polish it up in a very sort of fashionable way, literally. So yeah, aesthetics are quite important, but I try and balance that with something that's a bit more hard hitting to kind of make it easier to swallow, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I like the interplay of the polar opposites and the poetry that can come with something like pain, or something that's difficult, that it can be quite poetic in itself. Not particularly with this film, because there's nothing poetic about this film. But yeah, in general, yeah.
Oh, I should I'm going to do a trigger warning in a bit, but where are you heading? What do you want to do next? Or, you know, in 5 years or whatever?
Yeah, so I think
what are your daydreams?
my daydreams are quite big. I think mainly fashion, cars, and narrative. I think like fashion and beauty is something that I'd love to do commercially, but also just the sort of big commercial brands. And then yeah, I'd love to break into the car world. I know it's a very male oriented world, and I'd love to do something in that sense, because it fits with the sort of aesthetic that I like, which is like beautiful and like poetic. And then narrative, I'm trying to work on my first feature film at the moment, but I say at the moment, it's kind of a very, very slow progressive thing in like 5 years time or something. But yeah, it's an Iranian film, it's a foreign film. So I don't know if I do it as a feature or as a TV show, because that's kind of like where things are heading. TV shows, there's a lot more budget now, and it might be interesting to explore like an Iranian TV series rather than just a foreign film. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, great. That's all really interesting. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now, everyone who's watching, you'll see if you open chat, if you haven't got chat open already, look at the bottom of your screen. There's a little speech bubble. It says chat, and you'll see there's a link there. So can you click on that link and open up a browser to watch Samaya's film, because this is a full-length video, and we know that Zoom is just dreadful for full-length videos. It's better if you watch it in your own browser. So I'm going to leave this up while we all get on and watch.
Should we do a trigger warning, actually, Caroline?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yes, trigger warning. Thanks, Maya. It's about assault. So if you want to turn off, turn the sound down. When this pink screen goes, it's finished. Okay, thanks a lot, Samaya. So I'm going to shut up now while we all watch Samaya's video on our own devices. Okay, great. Right, is everyone finished? Got to the end? Yes, I think so. Thank you, Samaya. That's fantastic. Oh, Samaya. Oh, I need you to unmute.
Hi, sorry.
Hiya, that's all right. Has it got you? What's the reception been like since you launched it?
Yeah, I've had really good feedback. I think it's been featured in Girls in Film, which is great.
Oh, great, yeah.
And I think it's going to be featured on a few other platforms. But yeah, I've had some great feedback. I think a lot of people have reached out and yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing your next stuff as well. Just seen in chat that some people have said they don't have a link. If you just go a few comments up, you'll see there's a Vimeo link. Please open Samaya's video in a browser tab. But you'll have to watch it later now, because we're now going to go over to Nadia Loscott and Charlotte Regan. So Nadia, would you like to wave and say hi?
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Thought I did both.
So thanks very much for taking part, Nadia. So I'll just do a quick intro to you. So Nadia, for the people who don't know, is with her creative partner Nick, they are the ECDs at AMV BBDO, which people will know is an absolutely massive ad agency. Nadia and Nick have done really groundbreaking and important and interesting campaigns. They did the first one where you saw something that looked like period blood instead of it being blue liquid. They got involved in doing some really brilliant activism around plastic in the oceans. They did a really funny twist on encouraging people to drink responsibly with a campaign about Guinness Clear. She just does loads of wonderful things, and she is one of those people at the very, very top. So yes, so you're listening to someone at the very, very top of their game. I'll just intro Charlotte now. Charlotte, do you want to wave and say hi?
Yeah, hi. My internet's like proper shit, so I just keep worrying my internet's gonna cut out.
Don't worry, you look a bit sort of anyway, but you look fine. You look lovely. So Charlotte is, loads of people know Charlotte's work, but if you don't know her work, she's such a distinctive filmmaker. She makes really brilliant films. With really brilliant actors as well. You get the best performances out of people about normal everyday issues. If you're not, if you are mainly white working class, I suppose, but basically because the film industry and ad industry is so full of posh people, including me, like voices like Charlotte's don't get heard very often, and you're such a brilliant filmmaker. You're very warm and engaging. So anyway, she's just done a film for The Guardian, and I'm going to hand over to Nadia and Charlotte to talk to each other because they've got a list of questions that they're going to cover. So over to you two.
Who's gonna speak first?
You guys, you're like more eloquent. You speak better than me. Go on.
I'll try. So we'll just run through kind of our rough questions, and the first one is what the role of an ECD is in a commissioning process, and really, you know, each ECD will have a different way that they do things, but basically we obviously work with our clients to come up with an idea, a campaign, and then once that is sold in, that's when we look at who the person is that will be executing that vision. And the role of an ECD then is to really just facilitate that process, and because it would be the creative team and the creative director of that account who will be incredibly close to it. And as an ECD, it's about respecting their vision and finding and asking the right questions to facilitate that process of finding the right director to do it. And maybe that question might be, you know, because you're a bit more objective, because you're further out of the process, which is often helpful because you can ask, are the 3 people on your pitch list, are they all the same cookie cutter? Are they going to give you all the same thing? Or, is that person just on the list because you have always admired them and you've always wanted to work with them, and maybe they're not 100% right for the job? And have you considered another way like this person? So it's really about the knowledge of, maybe actually have you thought about it as a documentary rather than as a more kind of commercial based piece. So it's very fluid, but it's a facilitation process.
Have you ever worked with the ECDs before, Charlotte?
Yeah, on a few things, and it's kind of, it's been a similar experience where usually me and the creatives are getting mad carried away with some wild idea because we're obsessed with like a character we've cast, and then they'll come in and, like you say, they're kind of coming in not from the outside but from a perspective that can offer something different, and will usually like give us really tiny pointers, but the pointers usually really point out something not wrong with a script or the process, but something that we maybe didn't realize because we were getting a bit carried away with it all, I suppose. Yeah. So they're just like these like mysterious figures that like pop in and then give us like a sick note and then pop out again. Yeah.
So good description. It is always, but we there's a team, the Brazilian team, Diego and Caio, that used to work at AMV, and they always used to say, and it's so true, it's the team's job and the and in a collaboration with the directors is to try and get people fired. But a creative director's job is to make sure that that doesn't happen. So it's like the team's job to like push as hard as they can and to make sure that you're pushing the boat out and therefore making something really fantastic. But then there's the debate pushing back on the other side to get you to that right area. So it might be a very dramatic way of putting it, but we always like thinking about it that way.
When you're putting, you mentioned the pitch list, Nadia. How do people get onto the pitch list?
Oh, it's such a difficult. I always think it's such a difficult question, because to kind of, I guess, to do the job, and I'm Charlotte will know this. I think, and it'd be great to get your point of view. To do the job, you have to have done. To get the job, you have to have done the job. And I think that that's always the most difficult part. But I think that a fresh promo, a never seen before visual, a 30-second experimentation that of something that no one has ever seen before and is incredibly exciting. I think all of those things excite, delight, and entertain people. And in the end, I guess that's all both production houses and clients and agencies are looking for. And I think what is great is that Nick and I like to call it the economy of interesting. That's what we're in the business of. It doesn't necessarily always need to be incredibly expensive. So I think it's just making the most interesting thing that you can make, which will hopefully catch the attention of the production house that will get you signed, and they will obviously be your cheerleader and help you in ways, and hopefully at the same time agencies will be taking notice of you as well. How have you found it, Charlotte?
I suppose I've always wondered, like, how you if you are picking people kind of outside of type, like if you have like a stylish documentary piece or something that you're planning to make, but then you decide to put someone forward who isn't documentary and hasn't done anything like that, what is it in their work that is like making you pick them for that?
Oh, I mean, it's sometimes it's just that you can see the empathy in that matches with the vision that a creative team had for a job, and that you go in a different direction to what you originally imagined. So it's really just, hopefully in each case you're seeing something different in a director's vision, or a view of the world that aligns with the view that the creative team and you have for the job, that aligns with the client's expectations, their brand world, and the outcome that they need to make the job successful for them.
Should we play some of Charlotte's work? What do you, Nadia, you choose. What should we do? What should we go for?
Ooh, I have 3 favorites of Charlotte's work. I mean, I love. Let's have a look at the Guardian piece, a part of the Guardian piece, because I think it's a really fantastic way of just showcasing your empathy, Charlotte, because I think you have such your voice comes through so strongly in this film, but because I've seen your other work, I can see how strongly your voice is coming through in all of them. It's really lovely to see.
Okay.
What do you think working in class means? Hell. Definitely. Because I don't like English, don't like any of the subjects. Work in school, is it? You serious? I think I like English, I don't like
Come on, get off it. Go in the park and play. Don't hang around here.
That can't be true. Daddy said don't have any children because he told me don't have children because they're annoying. They ruin your life. Oh, shut my bird. Giant, hey, why are you filming Declan? Have you farted? I don't think that she likes it. I play out a lot, and here's my friends Shane and Annette, and that's my brother.
So I'll just pull us back out of that. Maybe let's talk a bit about what is it that you think Charlotte has that that is relevant to AdWorld because she's unusual.
I mean, I think that piece, for one, shows the power of making, viewing, telling underrepresented stories. I think it's just such a lovely, both poignant, empathetic, funny. You go through a range of different emotions with it when you watch the whole piece, and I think that it shows the importance of telling those underrepresented stories that you never see. And it's almost this little, the way that I viewed it was almost the secret little world that you kind of get to dive into and watch through Charlotte's eyes. And I think that there's such a lack of diversity in the industry as a whole. And I think that being able to tell those stories and have someone tell those stories is so important, because it's, you know, we all know that it's not for the lack of talent that it's a problem. It's a lack of bias in the system. So I think that more of that, and I think what people are always looking for is connection, and clients and agencies and creatives are always looking for just a wonderful thing that they haven't, a take on something that they haven't seen before. And it's the best kind of storytelling that just hits you in the gut. And I think that it's, you know, being brave enough to tell those stories. And that's where, you know, you come back to a creative team and a director having to push the boat out as far as they can, as long as it aligns with the client view, and you're making a wonderful piece of film that will hit people.
Charlotte, do you what's your experience of working on commercials? Is it something that you've wanted to do more of and haven't been able to, or do you see briefs and think I'm not so interested in that?
No, like I suppose knuckleheads maybe in particular are great at kind of like constantly chatting to you about what you're interested in, and that could be, you know, that could suddenly change, and suddenly you don't want to tell working class or emotional stories, and they'll take that on board, and they'll kind of make sure, or try to make sure, that what you see is like relevant to what you want to make. And I suppose that kind of always feels like the most important aspect is that like there's always something new to discover in like whatever you're making, like whether it's a short film or a music promo or a commercial, as long as there's like something that actually interests you about it or something you feel like you're learning through it. And I suppose I've just been lucky that like everything I've been sent has always had an element of that, for sure.
Great. Ethan has asked a question. Ethan Posford, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hello. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charlotte. Aren't you an ex-Ravensbourne students?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was great where I met like everyone who ever works on my job. So it was like, the best.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm currently studying in my third year there, going through all the madness of FMP seasons. So it's kind of nice to hear the perspective of someone who's had some time since they were at Ravensbourne doing this kind of cool stuff.
Have you got a question you'd like to ask Charlotte about maybe the kind of work she does? Don't feel under any pressure if not.
Yeah. What sort of stuff led you to make stuff like this, out of curiosity? Did you focus on a lot of freelance work for a while with like corporate stuff, or what did you do?
Not so much corporate stuff. I always did like rap videos for like really gangster rappers, so like hundreds of them, like where they just like stand on a rooftop, they do gun fingers at the camera. So I did them for like years, and I suppose like got sick of like being paid with like a PS3 or like doing rap videos on rooftops. So yeah, no, I didn't do much corporate stuff or anything like that, no.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. I was just kind of curious what's kind of led you here. I mean,
Ethan, that's fantastic. Let's get a question in for Nadia now. Thank you very much. That's lovely. Thank you. Nadia, how often do you get to work with new directors?
Relatively often. I mean, I think that it's you know, I mean, it completely just depends on the jobs in the system and who's right for what. But I mean, I think it's incredibly important to be able to keep an eye on who's out there and who's rising and who is going to be, you know, that you can spot that talent and be able to kind of just keep an eye on them, you know, for when you do have the right job, because I think those things, you know, you never know when they're going to come up, and you never know, you know, to Charlotte's question earlier of how you pick and choose a person to work on a specific project. And I think it's so much about the personality and the view and the kind of, you know, sometimes the look or the storytelling and things like that. So it's up to whichever projects are in the system, really.
And who's in charge at AMV? Who's in charge of, is anyone in charge of looking for new talent? Is it like a producer's job to keep feeding it back in and sending it to you and to the other creatives, or is it not as organized like that?
It's probably more higgledy-piggledy. I think, you know, we've got an incredible department at AMV, and everyone is constantly looking for new things. You know, it's to what I was saying earlier about, you know, how to get on the list or how to turn someone's head. I think that's constantly what the producers and what the creatives are doing, trawling to find the next big thing, the next fresh thing, the next funny thing or silly thing. So it's you know, it's our job to track that and hopefully enjoy it at the same time, which we do.
One of the questions that we had lined up was what separates an almost made it director from a you have made it director? What are the sort of things that can get in the way of someone who is on the way up?
Oh gosh, I think it differs with so many people. I think that, and almost sometimes it's experience, sometimes someone can rush through the rungs just because they have a very specific voice that and look and feel that is of the moment, and it's luck. A lot of the time it's luck, and it's how they are with clients and how responsive they are, and agencies and creatives being able to be collaborative and find that joint vision to kind of, I think, often know what the business problem is for the client, understand what will make a job successful in the commercial sense, and play to that as well, and try to match your job up with what that is, and push it through. So it's kind of random, but I do think that being able to be collaborative, have a vision, always push for great and standout creativity, but also knowing, it's always, again, knowing when to stop and when it's too much pushing, and when to let go and step back. So lots of different things, I guess.
Char, I'm asking more questions than I meant to, and I'm sorry, but I'm in the lucky position of knowing some things that you might not know. But Charlotte, you did an advert for Gumtree, and there's other brands that you've worked with before. Can you talk a little bit about that question about getting on with the client that Nadia was saying is so important, and being able to be empathetic but still keep pushing those creative buttons? What's that like to do, and who's your team when you're doing that?
I suppose it just always feels like quite a cool challenge, in that it's like problem solving. So what is cool is that a comment never comes from just being there for the sake of it. Like, can we just ruin this by doing this? It never feels like that. It always, I suppose I see it as they kind of know their market and they know their product or what they're trying to do. And I'm kind of one of the facilitators that problem solves, more so than like, I'm an auteur and I must like do this, and because it's, they know their market better than me. So luckily I've never had a bad experience, and everyone has always been like pretty nice, which is like makes it easy to be nice in return. And I always have the kind of the same or very similar people within roles on the film, I suppose. Like Francis at Knucklehead always produces everything and doesn't mind if I like have some sort of like really annoying idea at like 11 p.m. on a weekday, and call him up about it and wake him up. Or so luckily everyone around you kind of supports that. And the same with like the creatives on Gumtree, they were like really got on from the start, which I suppose is a big part of how the client relationship runs as well, or it feels like it is. So I've never had someone I kind of clash with or disagree with, so it's always been pretty harmonious, I suppose. Yeah. And
do you tend to work with the same crew usually?
No, not everyone. The same editor all the time. Owen at Marshall Street always edits everything of mine, I suppose, at the minute. But in terms of like DOPs and stuff, that changes depending on what kind of work it is, because the same as like how you guys kind of pick different directors for different pitches, I kind of think different DOPs, as much as like maybe they don't want to admit it, I think they do naturally lean towards certain styles which isn't always suited to a certain job, I suppose. Yeah,
that's interesting. And we've got quite sorry.
No, I was just saying that's a great way of putting it. It's the same way you choose your team is how we choose directors. It's being part of that team and part of that vision, because it's the collective that, it's not ever just one person. It's everyone that makes it brilliant.
So we got questions are beginning to come in now. So I'll say 3 names. So if you can just get ready and then unmute yourselves one by one. So and there's quite a few questions coming in there. So if you just keep it to 1 question, that would be very generous of you. So Natalie Schwan, then Alessandra Leone, and then Juliet Warren. So Natalie, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes. Hello there. I am a director, but I also have a production company. So I've always been curious the best way to connect with agencies so you can actually be bidding on jobs and kind of how that process works. Like, what's the best way to get connected and be able to pitch on projects?
Ooh, I mean, it's actually a difficult question, which is why you're asking it, because I think it's a frustrating thing. And it's being able to try and get probably, I would be choiceful with, you know, what's going to make you look twice, what's going to make, if you're putting it under someone's nose,
right,
what piece of work is that going to be that's going to be different from what they've seen in other places? And again, I mean, it's frustrating because it is always about luck, but I do think contacting people and being choiceful with even literally, this sounds stupid, but the key visual that you choose, why is that different from, you know, all the other images and all the other film stills that they might see, and therefore how can you stand out in that way? And I do think that that getting onto all the getting you know, into award shows and into platforms that just raise the profile, that really helps, because, you know, you can say I've been shortlisted here and there, and then suddenly it doesn't mean that the work is any better than the next thing, but suddenly there's outside affirmation.
Yeah,
that kind of helps, and it's kind of a bit of PR, I guess, in that way, because you can have someone can. It's like watching which YouTube clip you're going to click on, the one with 1 view or the one with 5 million. It's a bit similar to that, but I do think, you know, even I always believe even in a couple of seconds you can catch attention. But equally you can bore someone to death in 6 seconds as much as you can bore them to death in 60 minutes. So yeah. I kind of think that I always hold that as that key visual, and it's even when people are building their reels and their books, their sites. I think that's incredibly important about what's that visual that is so different, and is also Nick and my belief in when we're making film. Is there a scene, is there a something that just, you know, you look at it and you go, oh my God, I've never seen that before. Wow, that's amazing. So I don't know if that quite answers your question, but I think it's hopefully some tips.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, like find something distinctive that can set you apart when you're trying to engage with people.
And being able to get onto different platforms that are showcasing that work, because I think, you know, even Vimeo staff picks, and, you know, be visible in the places that aren't just a cold call, because I think that the emailing and cold calling, I don't know if that necessarily works. I think that it's much easier and much better, your time is much better spent trying to get onto platforms that people are looking at and actively being in that place where, like, I'm trawling for something new and something brilliant and something fresh.
Okay,
fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Natalie, for asking that question. I'm gonna bang on just to get more people covered, so thank you. Alessandra, off you go, if you're still here. Alessandra? Okay, we'll come back to you later. Juliet, you were the third one there.
Yes, there we go. Hi. Hi, I have a question about free the work. Do you guys, how often do agencies check out free the work? Because I've had my stuff up there, but I'm wondering how to use that to get further or to get recognized or to send off to someone.
Yeah, all the time is the answer. We
Okay.
use it on all the time and check it all the time. Again, I think that's producers, creatives' jobs when they're looking for directors is not just to look in the obvious places and to make sure that we are signed up to free the work and pushing that as well and looking for new voices, because in the end it's not just the right thing to do. I believe that it's the best thing to do, because I think different voices make for better work. So you know, it's people are looking at those sites, trying to build, again, trying to be on other platforms, building your following, and all of that is all really helpful to try and reach more people in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Charlotte, are you on Free the Work? Oh, muted.
Yeah, I'm on it, and I've had I quite often get emails from people that have seen my stuff on there, and like just to start conversations and stuff. It's not necessarily that it will be like a job straight away, but like loads of conversations have started because of that platform, for sure. Yeah.
There's also platforms like I'm sure you all know about them, like Flair Studios and places like that you know, that you can actually pitch. You can do pitches, mini pitches, and you know, that's another way of getting into agencies, where it's an open pitch.
Do people know about Flair? We'll put the Flair Studios link into chat if we can find it. I'm sure we can when we're doing breakout. So come back afterwards if you want that. People are asking questions that we've kind of covered. So what are the platforms that you go to troll to find new directors? Well, you've mentioned Vimeo Stuff Picks is going to be one. If you're a new director, Shiny, it kind of covers that. I would imagine you're also looking at things like Shots and Little Black Book and David Reviews. Are those places where you look?
Yeah, I mean, I also look on Instagram, and you know, even if you're a motion director, motionographer is amazing. Yeah, so I mean, I love trawling Instagram for new things, and I of course love Vimeo.
Fab. Okay. Yeah, Jacob, come back. We'll give you the Flair Studios bit in a bit. I'm going to stop us now because we're at 5:45. We're going to do 10 minutes of breakout rooms, and I'm going to say thank you very much, Nadia and Charlotte. You've both been brilliant, really brilliant. It's really been a bit of an honor to have both of you on. Thank you very much.